Jess. How you doing?
Hi, Max. It's countdown time for you.
I
Countdown
know.
time until you run like the wind.
Oh, there'll be no running like the wind. It'll be like trudging through sand. We practiced actually. We practice the just moving across sand with our poles and going up sand dunes in the weekend. And my goodness, on Monday my legs felt toast. Like my quads were so sore. And
Oh my gosh, so you guys literally would go to the bottom of the dune, run up to the top of the dune, walk back down, do it again, like a hill repeat essentially on a dune.
Yes, yep, that's exactly it. And in fact, it wasn't
Amazing.
walking down as much as it was like I don't ski, but you see skiers sort of ski down with their poles
Yes.
and whatnot.
Yes,
Like that. It was
yes.
pretty much what we were doing, which was really great. But there's just a lot of organisation going on this week, Jess, and it's not my strong point. So I'm glad that Barry is steering that ship, because my goodness, I'm like, I just need to be told what to do. I'm not very good at sort of being the leader in that sense. But
What is the major source of organization for an event? And just remind everybody pretty much knows what you do, but
Yeah.
you're an ultra runner, but describe quickly what kind of that entails and what you have to actually prepare for or bears.
Yeah, so it's basically it's a multi-stage run. This is only the second we've done, so I'm by no means going to act like I'm an expert in this. But they give you you've got mandatory gear that you must have to run with. You've got mandatory gear you must have, to be able to exist in the desert, sleep in the desert. You've got mandatory sort of food that in terms of the number of calories that you must carry with you and that you have at camp. But all of this has to go within a certain weight. So you can't go over and above a certain weight for all of this. And this is all needs to be organized by day. We need to write lists for each day's food and the calorie total for that day. So I mean, we've got maybe 50% of it organized, but there's a lot. And so it sort of requires us to sort of just double down and do it. And then, of course, on top of it, as you and I were talking about, we've got a range of programs and stuff that I'm either a part of now or about to launch or about to do once we hit the ground running when we get back. So whenever you take a week out of real life, it's not like everything else stops.
Totally.
So yeah, there's a bit, but it's all good. It's all good. It'll be a relief to get on the plane. That's for sure.
That always is, because then I always say to myself, and especially when you're running your own business, but whatever is on my head and whatever I have to do already, I'm just action decreases anxiety. So I'm moving, I'm doing the thing, and I'm getting closer to whatever that thing is, a product launch or something to my business or a big long run. But I was laughing because I'm the amount of mileage that you do doesn't require just a handful packets of goo and bars and a banana. You know what I mean? My half marathon, right? I'm covered. But it's you really are looking at every day as the calories in, calories out. It's just it is a whole thing. But there's probably there's I just every time you go on these, I'm like, okay, and today right now she's on mile this. It's just kind of a very cool thing. So I know, and respect, and I'm cheering you on.
Oh, thank you. And I think people expect that because I'm a sports, I work quite a lot in sports nutrition as 50% of my business, that I will just have all of it down pat. And the reality is actually, it's a lot of this comes down to experience, and it comes down to clinically working with people as well. So I just had a wonderful conversation on Wikipedia with the sports nutritionist physiologist who helped Ruth Croft and Tom Evans to their win in a really big mountain race. It's one of the biggest in the sport, the UTMB, last weekend. And he was amazing. And I think because so much of nutrition at the longer distance, I mean, I think physiology plays a massive part regardless, but particularly in a sport like ultra running, I'm such a novice compared to the experience that someone like Paul can bring to the sport. So you're just forever a student, I think, as well. So it doesn't matter that I am an absolute expert in nutrition. This is a whole different field that I've not had a lot of experience in myself. So I think that part of that is I find that super interesting as well.
Oh, I do too. I mean, you're always a student, right? Like that's what makes the best coaches are the best students.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would love to kind of sit on that, because I would love to understand the nutrition piece. And maybe like quickly before I have one question for you. What, as a nutritionist, what is your biggest like aha moment? I know this is only your second one, but nutritionally, what was like, oh, okay, that is sort of different than what I might have thought, or why I might have assumed. Like, what was kind of your aha moment there?
Yeah, I think it was on the rest day. In my head, I'm like, cool, I'll be able to make up calories. I'll be able to, eat a lot of food and it will feel really good. But actually, I felt so like spent from the day that we'd just had, on the back of several long days. But we had a very long day, and then actually I was just so exhausted that I ate a lot, but it didn't digest very well. And in the end, the next day, it was awful. Like I stuffed down breakfast and I shouldn't have. I was just like, I had terrible like runner's diarrhea for the first 10K of a 33K day, which was the last day, so it was very slow anyway. And I just remember thinking, I so mucked that up. Like, I shouldn't have eaten so much yesterday. I should have relied more heavily on glucose rather than actual food, just getting liquid calories in. So my food so my stomach didn't have to digest. So that was a really big aha, and something I'll definitely take with me into this next run. Like, just that knowledge, but also a different tactic as well for the rest day, because the rest day will come again after a long day, and it will be a longer day because it's in the desert, it's in sand, it's not, and it's at altitude, so the conditions are tougher, but the distance is the same. So our 13-hour day ends up being about 20 hours.
I mean, it's so unbelievable. The two of my hardest conditions, right? Sand and altitude. But
yeah,
I do think you're right. Like, hydrating, and it is kind of a funny little fallacy that people think like I should eat more, right, so that I have more to store up, basically. Like, but you're right, at the end of the day, like, your body's running and it's hard to digest it effectively, and I imagine that was I would have probably thought the exact same thing until
because you're resting, so you're like, well, I've got all day just to sit around and eat. Yeah, but my goodness, my stomach did not appreciate that. So that's definitely something which I'll be mindful of this, and so we're more prepared in that realm, I suppose, this time around.
Well, it's an interesting tie, because you and I also were talking about your race and fueling, as we often do, and then we're talking about what in my practice, which seems to come up every other day, and that's the conversation around GLP-1s. But I'm always fascinated too about, like, obviously I understand what they do. They quiet food noise, they make people eat less. That's essentially how you lose weight. But I'm a little bit interested in the gut piece around it, like the actual slowing of digestion. So I know I kind of jump, but it's a little like what you were talking about, right? When you're like running, it's sort of the same thing. Your body's an interesting processing machine. And so I guess I'm a little fascinated. Two things. One, when you take the drug, kind of what happens, that there's a slower emptying in the gut, because it just doesn't digest the food as quickly. Your body's just not digesting in the same way it would, I think, without the medication. And then the other piece to that is there's a lot of talk. Let's say you don't take a GLP-1 medication. People talk, which I know is a completely different animal, but they talk about how your body's natural production of GLP or something to that nature. So we'll talk about the first one, because when your running story just kind of made me think about the gut.
Yeah.
And so I thought about that first. So I don't know if you have any kind of opinion about that.
Well, the so I guess the mechanisms are very different, but that's not your point. Your point was just to sort of segue into that. So the GLP-1 absolutely slows digestion. It's one of one of its major side effects is in fact also a mechanism with which it works. So the GLP acts directly on our nervous system, our enteric nervous system actually, which is what's termed the second brain of your gut, and on the vagus nerve pathways. So the signaling it tightens the sphincter at the bottom of your stomach. And so it reduces the stomach muscle contractions. So food lingers in the stomach longer before trickling into the small intestine. Of course, so that's sort of how it works. And then it's also, in addition to that, it slows down peristalsis, so the movement of food through the intestine. So in the small intestine, the GLP sort of dampens down that rhythmic wave that pushes food along, the peristalsis. So nutrients are absorbed a little more gradually. And then also GLP suppresses something called glucagon, which is a hormone that normally raises blood sugar. So it suppresses that, and it enhances insulin release only when glucose is present. So slower emptying means a gentler, more sustained glucose curve. So there's no sudden sort of spikes or crashes. So these signals, they reach our brain, our hypothalamus, it reinforces satiety, and it reduces appetite. So this is why people who are on a GLP-1 agonist not only digest food more slowly, but also feel fuller, faster, and for longer. And it might delay gastric emptying by around 30 to 50%. So
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, a meal that normally clears the stomach in 2 to 3 hours may actually take about 4 to 5 hours. And this is with like a semaglutide. So when you're looking at a tirzepatide, so a dual agonist, looking at GLP and GIP, it may even be more. But so that's super interesting, the way that the drug works. Completely different from my nervous system response and lack of appetite due to complete fatigue with running.
Fascinating, right? You know what I mean? Like you're like, but the other one, but yet like when you're running, so you're exhausted and you're just not hungry. But it's funny how the GLP has this way of like also making you not hungry. But the slower emptying of food out of the body, I find to be interesting, because I wonder what happens when you go off of the drug. Does your body still just all of a sudden like go back to emptying out more efficiently, or does it stay in that kind of slower? Because ultimately you don't really want that like for long. I would guess you wouldn't want it for long periods. Like you'd still want to have a pretty like efficient emptying of the gut system, I'm guessing.
Yeah, as I understand it, that like this is one of the reasons why people take the drug every week, because the effects wear off.
Not outside.
Yeah. Because the effects wear off. So absolutely it wears off. Yeah.
I guess I didn't think about that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, I just so the gut is fascinating. The efficiencies of it, both in a person who's not on it and running, but also just like what happens. I always think it's really important to understand a drug before you get on it, because obviously you're just kind of looking at the end game. I'm going to lose this weight, but I think it's super important to understand. And I don't think people have this conversation that frequently. Like I've even asked them, like, do you actually know specifically? You should know. If you're owning it and you're taking it, that means you're carrying it around in your body. So you should kind of know what's happening, in your body, and sort of what it's actually doing. Because you just hear the food noise, but that kind of sounds vague.
Yeah. And that's I mean, it works differently. Like we were just talking about the gut, it works differently. Like it does things to the brain as well, which is the quietening down of the food noise. And that's a separate to what we were just talking about with the gut.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then this other piece is, which I understand is very different than the drug, but they're either I'm hearing a lot now, like, because the GLP, I mean, I never even ever talked about GLPs, you know what I mean? Like
I know.
In the day, and I don't even mean like, and not even just in the medication or the injection, but just in general. Like I never talked about it in my body naturally. You know what I mean? And so now you hear this sort of conversation around your body, help your body, produce its natural GLP. So I don't know, like maybe do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like the thing is, like, the reality is they're so separate that when I see on Instagram people talking about GLP diets and boost your own GLP naturally, it's it's a completely different concept to taking a medication. A medication will increase GLP in your body, GLP-1 agonists in your body by 100-fold. 1,000-fold even, some of them.
Okay.
And it'll remain elevated at supraphysiologic levels for a week. Like legitimately, that is it. Whereas our natural GLP is released in response to food will increase 2 to 3 times above baseline, not 100 times, 2 to 3 times above baseline. And it lasts for 2 to 3 minutes.
And just describe that. Like, what is lasting for 2 to 3 minutes?
GLP-1. And like,
okay.
yeah, like the GLP-1 will increase in our body 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, some of it will maybe go a little bit longer, but it peaks within an hour. It's not sustained beyond 30 minutes. Like, it's really like a typical meal is a very short half-life, and then it'll just diminish again. So this is why it grinds my gears when I see coaches on Instagram talk about their GLP-1 based diets. I'm like, mate, tell me you've just told me everything you need to tell me about what you don't know about GLP-1s.
Well, this is exactly it. So why are people even saying that then? They're basically just riding the coattails of a drug that makes you essentially lose weight. So they're like, if you don't want to lose weight, go ahead and just jump on this GLP diet. You know what I mean? Which really is a farce, because that's not really a real thing. So they're just using that terminology that half the population, no offense here, really doesn't understand anyways. All we know is that GLPs, we think, for the majority of people, like, help you lose weight. We're not even exactly sure how it does it. Now you just helped people to understand how it does. And now we're going to take that word and then make a diet out of it, even though it doesn't actually exist.
Yeah. So we do know how it works. Like, it's very
we do now. Like, I mean, a lot of people don't know. I mean, if you ask them,
I see what you're saying. I see. So you mean like, professionally
after this conversation?
Yes. Professionally, we know how it works, but
100%.
Yeah. But I think what people are just doing, it's just marketing. It's just everything.
Yes.
Yeah. It's all it is. It's all it is. Like, people will talk about certain foods increasing your GLP, and it's like, well, for 30 minutes, sure. And it might go up 2 times, maybe 3 times even, but it cannot hold a candle against medication. And I think this is and people just, unfortunately, they're emotionally hijacked by the concept that they'll just go to anything, I think.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. I think a lot of people are emotionally hijacked. I just want them to, like, for any of the conversations that we have, I just want people to, like, be armed with just a little bit of rational hijacking.
Yeah, totally.
About that one.
Yeah.
Instead of being emotionally hijacked, I think you should be rationally hijacked. I'm completely coining that terminology, but it's so much better, because then you're in a room or you're somewhere, and you're like, no. I remember what Mikki and Jess talked about. This is what this actually is. Hold on to that. You know what I mean? Like, it'll give you, or it'll root you in the situation. But you did root me, because I, even with all the, I'm such a wonderful, I'm so glad that I have a podcast, because I'm like also all of the listeners. I'm the person they're marketing to half the freaking time. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I'm hearing it, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll tune in. Is there a food? Maybe I'll get the food that's a little higher in GLP-1-ness.
Yeah.
But so I guess there was also, like, I needed the myth to be debunked a little bit, because I wasn't sure that was actually not a thing.
Yeah, it's not a thing. Like, if you eat the thing is, it's just different language to fundamentally tell us the same things about food that we already know, and it's just speaking to the same audience in a different way. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I love that. That's completely true.
Yeah.
No, it's a thing. So moral of the story is, the GLP medication is real. You should really understand, though, what it's actually doing and how you lose the weight, like how it's helping you. And then second, there isn't a GLP diet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's not a natural way to produce more GLP in your body either.
Not in a meaningful way. So
Not
yes,
in a meaningful way.
yeah, there are foods that may increase it a little bit more, but not in a meaningful way, the way that these drugs work.
Yeah, you're not going to eat that and absorb and then and get to your goals. It is a process, my friend, but I guarantee, like Mikki's runs, it'll be worth it in the end. So stick with it. You know what I mean? Like, folks, this is like, no pun intended, it is the long game.
It is
but
the long game.
If you stay with it, you will see results.
Exactly.
What are you grateful for?
I am grateful that we are on the countdown to this event, and so that in a week I will be even closer to that event. Truthfully, it's that point where I can't wait to start, to toe the start line. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I can't wait to come back with all of the stories of sand.
I know. I know.
If there is nothing better than rutted sand, though, if you really want to kick your ass, just run in sand for half an hour. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. How about you, Jess?
I'm always grateful for you. I carry this wisdom. Everybody gets to be the recipient of what we talk about. I'm grateful for that. I love the idea of continually empowering people. I think that's very magical, you know.
I love it.
And I'm glad that you're feeling good and you're gonna hit it hard, and it's good. And I'm getting closer to my goal of 100 kettlebell snatches.
Oh,
the
amazing!
other side of this coin.
Yeah, amazing.
I did a set today and I got 50 on one arm and 48 on the other. So
that's amazing.
Progress is happening. That's been a long time. Talk about a goal that I've stayed with, dear God, for years. It's been
amazing.
So I'm very humbled by how hard it has been to do it.
That is so great, Jess.
There.
So great.
Chipping away.
Yeah, love it. Love it. All right,
53
Jess.
pounds is not light.
No, God, no.
I'll see you on the other side, my friend.
See you soon.
Bye.